Okay, we're going to end the Romantic era with two composers that aren't really romantic. They're kind of on the cusp of the 20th century. But I think they're interesting examples of how composers began to try to deal with this, again, what we call the breakdown of the tonal system or the abandonment of tonality. Basically, composers began to feel that, the tonal system was exhausted. They couldn't get the kinds of tension and narratives and the kinds of emotional feelings put across any longer. It'd all been sort of done before. And so these composers represent different approaches to doing this. First one I want to talk about is Gustav Holst. And he was born in 1874, lived to 1934. And despite his Germanic name, he was actually British. He was born in Cheltenham, England, and he was primarily a teacher. And he was kind of a one-hit wonder. He wrote a piece called The Planets, which again was one of those nice big planets program music pieces depicting the different characters of the planets in the solar system. And I'm going to play you just a little bit of his first song, his first piece in this suite called Mars, the Bringer of War. Here we go. So you can hear he's using kind of a modified scale. So it's not really tonal, it's different. But it has tonality to it. Here we're in a very tonal part. But again, he'll veer off of it. So very out there, bold music. What's also interesting about this is that he's using a different kind of meter. We haven't talked too much about meter in this class, but the triple meter of the dances and the minuets, this is actually in 5. If you listen, you can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it sort of keeps you off balance the whole time because this is Mars, the bringer of war. Again, I've got his other pieces up on the website. Check them out. But we're going to talk about one more composer. This is Alexander Scriabin, Russian composer, born in 1872, lived only to 1915. Short life. He was a teacher at the Moscow Conservatory. And the guy was insane. I mean, seriously insane. He was quite talented, very well-known pianist in his time. But he was casting about, again, for an alternative to tonality. And he came up with this thing he called the mystic chord. And it was a chord that was supposed to have certain mystical properties. Here's what it sounded like. So he wrote a number of pieces based on that mystic chord. And here's an example, his Piano Sonata number 7. And if you listen closely, you can hear kind of the resonance of that chord through the way he's constructing his harmonies in this piece. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm certainly on a different plane of existence now. Anyhow, when I say he was insane, the last piece he wrote before he died young. Unfortunately, he had a sore on his lip that got infected, and he died. People did that back then. But the last piece that he was writing was a multimedia work that was going to be performed in the Himalayan mountains. And the performance of this work would cause Armageddon to occur. And part of the instrumentation for this work had giant bells that would be hung from clouds that could be heard around the world, and giant horns that would be strung between the mountains that you could also, of course, hear around the world. It was to be a grandiose religious synthesis of all the arts that would herald the birth of a new world. To my knowledge, it's never been performed. And with that, we'll stop our romantic, and next time we're going to be talking about Impressionism, which is a French response to this kind of breakdown in tonality.